I was having a telephone conversation with my brother recently. My brother's quite a tuned in person, quite insightful. He doesn't listen to my videos though. I think he's got a certain idea about them, perhaps being a bit intellectual perhaps. And he's mistaken in that respect, because I think he would actually quite enjoy them and appreciate them. But I don't try and sell them to anybody. I don't try and promote my videos to anybody. People have to follow their own way. My brother is actually a yoga teacher. He teaches Iyengar yoga teacher, and I'm sure he's very good at it. But we're having this conversation and he was talking about the body. And for him the body is very real. And I felt, well, I had to point out, no, it's not real. The body is not real. The body is an idea. It's a story. You can argue for the reality of the body because of what it can do. And I pointed out, well, this is the same as a map. A map is great for getting you from one place to another, but the map is not the terrain. You could theoretically follow a map to get from A to B without actually taking your eyes off the map. And sometimes when you go on some trek or other, you feel like throwing the map away because you spend so much time looking at it, trying to figure where you are, that you don't actually take in where you are, where you really are. You're always trying to position yourself in this map. And it's the same with the body. We need to pay attention to it. We need to follow its instructions. We need to look after it. It gets us from A to B. I'm not sure my brother quite got this, that the body is an idea. All we experience are sensations. All that's real are sensations. For example, I could say here, I am touching the cup. I am touching the cup. Well, that's what it is from conventional reality. But if I was to be quite clear about what's happening, there's a sensation of resistance and heat. That's what it boils down to, sensation and heat. Resistance and heat. I have visual cues which allow me to conceptualize the understanding that this is a cup. Perhaps if I was completely blind and had been blind from birth, then these visual cues would not be so important. I might have some completely different ways of understanding these sensations. And this was described in the previous verse, how we come to believe in the body. I'm going to just revisit this verse 540. Because of varieties of defilement cherished by beings, there is transmigration, and the sense organs are completed. Being bound up by ignorance and desire, there is the evolution of beings possessed of a body. It gives the impression that this is all happening. This is all actually happening, as if it's all materializing. But what's materializing is our belief in this story. And this story It contains elements from the wheel of life, the Bhava chakra, which has got these 12 links in it which hold the whole thing in place. Because of ignorance and our habitual tendencies, we become conscious of things and we give these things name. And we identify which channels of the senses by which we are experiencing them, sights, sounds, and so on. So it's actually a story that we're building up. We experience contact with these objects. We experience feelings. And if we like it, we want more of it. If we don't like it, we want less of it. And we start clinging to these things. We actually cling to things that we don't like as well. Just think of all the bad moods that we cling to. And in this way, there's what's called becoming, the idea that there's a me here experiencing a world out there. So this is the transmigration, the sense organs having been completed. And we've got the idea that we're being possessed of a body. And of course, as we continue this identification, all that there is for us is getting old, if we're lucky, getting older, and ultimately death. This is the wheel of becoming. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but if you're not familiar with it, you might want to look into that, the Buddhist wheel of life. If you are familiar with it, then I've just given you a very succinct summary of it. So we need to backtrack from this notion that we have a body. We use it like a map. We're not denying the existence of the body. It's very useful, but like the map, we don't want to keep our nose pinned to it and miss out on the terrain. And this is what happens. We so identify with this body that we miss out on the context, on the terrain. And as enlightenment practitioners, this is what we're doing. We're taking our nose out of the map and appreciating the view. So this is what the next verse is about. 541. If beings are not existent, as discriminated by the ignorant, there will be no evolving of the sense organs in these beings, which is not the yogin's view. So the yogin is the enlightenment practitioner. The yogin is the one who's looked up from the map, who's loosened this identification with the idea of a body. We're not somehow denying the body. That's to give the body reality. The body is an idea. Now you might find this difficult, but go back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video. What actually is there? There's only sensations, feelings, and there's also this visual panorama if you're sighted, but there's what we understand as sense perception. It's what I prefer to call, though, the field of experiencing. Rather than talk about the senses and so on, there's the field of experiencing going on, or the stream of experiencing, because everything's moving, everything's in flux. So we gave up on the idea of beings, of bodies, of different things going on. There's just the field of experiencing. Leave it at that. Don't try and identify bits of it. Oh, there's a little eddy there. There's a waterfall there. And there's rocks in it and all. No, there's just the stream of experiencing. We're not getting caught up with the particulars. We're stepping back and getting the bigger picture. So beings are not existent as discriminated by the ignorant. We should really just say as discriminated by ignorance. Ignorance is when we're caught up in the story, caught up in the map. There will be no evolving of the sense organs in these beings. So in other words, we're stepping back from the notion of the senses. We're coming back to simple experiencing. And when we do this, we come back to stillness. Because we're witnessing. Our only option now, when we step back, when we take our nose off the map and look up, well, we're meditating now. There's stillness and there's being with a capital B, not beings. Not a being, but simply being, witnessing. It says here, which is not the Yogin's view. Well, I think the view of the Yogin is not that there are beings with sense organs. The Yogin's view is very much from this way of witnessing the stream of experiencing, without any ideas of an experiencer and an experience. There's no idea of an experiencer who's actually experiencing these experiences. There is just experiencing. There's actually no body to experience.